Hey everybody! Does everybody have all the pizza they're going to need for the duration of this 6-hour lecture? It's a marathon, not a sprint, so make sure that you're well fed and have refreshments and everything. Thank you all so much for coming. My name is Peter Anderson. I'm a computing support specialist and certified security expert. And this talk is Security is Your Friend. In particular, digital security is your friend. That's the theme of today's talk. I'd like to say two important things about today's talk. The first thing is it's about 45 minutes or so in length. You may have questions during the talk. If you could please hold your questions till the end. It'll help everything just flow better. It's just a few topics, but there's a lot of information, and there will be questions, and I'm really looking forward to them. So if you think of one, you can write it down or just keep it here until the lecture's over. The second thing is this has nothing to do with this organization. I wasn't asked to do this. This is for you guys in your personal lives. This has nothing to do with me training you how to be in policy or anything like that. This is so that you can protect yourself in your own daily life, because dealing with digital nonsense is a part of daily life now. There's really no avoiding it. We all have to have many logins and accounts with things, and give us your email. Okay, here you go. We don't think about it because we have to do it so frequently. So the goal here today is to bring awareness about what some of the threats are, the bad actors they're called that are trying to get to your valuable information, and some measures that you can take that really are, once you've got them in place, are very easy to follow and are very much worth it. Oh, perfect timing. Okay, so security is your friend, and by the end of today's lunch, you will be well fed and security will be your friend. So let's begin. I was going to begin with a story about Amazon. Yeah, we it was like a month or two ago, a computer user, we'll call her Alice, received an email one sunny Sunday morning, and this email said, "Your Amazon password has successfully been changed." And she was a bit confused because she hadn't been in Amazon to change her password. So the following day, she contacted her computing support specialist and said, "Hey, what's up with this email? Is this a phishing scam? I've heard of that. Is somebody trying to trick me into giving up my password, or is this actually from Amazon? I'm not sure." So the analyst took a look at the email that she'd received, and it indeed came from Amazon.com. And it said, "Your password's been changed." And the analyst put into Google, "Your password's been changed," the exact text that was in the body of the email. And everybody online said, "That's legit. That's how Amazon communicates this." So the analyst suggested, "All right, well, it looks like your account has probably been compromised, and whoever got in there changed your password so that they could lock you out. So you should probably contact Amazon and see if that's the case." So she did, and the next day she got back to the analyst and said, "Yep, my account has been hacked. Amazon helped me sort it all out." But if she had not thought to ask her analyst and just say, "It's phishing, whatever, I didn't change my password, I don't need to pay any mind to this," the person that did hack Alice's account could have made off with however many physical goods that they used stored payment information to pay for. Because on Amazon we're like, "I want it now," and then your payment information is already done. You don't have to put that in every time. So if someone gets in there, all they have to do is pick what they want and hit go and set an address, and you're pretty much done. But just over an hour ago, another tale to chill your bones, I got a message from someone who said, "I need help. I don't know what to do. My daughter gave her social security number out over the phone to someone who called and said, 'Hello, we are with the Social Security business, and we need your social security number right now.'" And they really grilled her. They said, if I recall, she said they told her that, they told her that her bank accounts were being used to launder drug money. And they said, "You need to give us your social security number right now to get the ball rolling to remediate this. And if you don't provide your social security number right now, we're going to come to your job tomorrow and arrest you." Yeah, and so they're talking about a college-age child now, basically, and they're saying, "Yeah, we're going to come to your job and arrest you if you don't give us your social security number right now." And you're a kid, you're just starting out your adult life, responsibility and all. It's very frightening, and so she did. So just from that phone call, from one tactfully done scare tactic and social engineering attack, she gave the keys to her entire life. And so she asked me, what do I do now? And I said, well, I've never had that question before. This is security work order number 1. So what do we do? So of course I go on the internet and say, well, what can we do to remediate this? And it says you need to contact the IRS. You need to contact all 3 credit ratings agencies. You need to contact your local police and tell them that your identity's been stolen. It's a mess. And this one was caught early, and it's still a mess. And this mess is being dealt with right now as we're eating pizza. So exactly. So it's about awareness. It's about awareness because people that are trying to get your information are trying to do it all the time. And it's not just on the computer. We get way more robocalls than we ever got now on our cell phones. They don't just go to home phones anymore. So awareness is important if we want to protect our precious data, because if it does progress and someone does take out a loan in her name, I mean, you can, once you have a social security number and a birth date, you can do anything as that person. And then when the police come and say, hey, there's some suspicious activity going on, you think they're going to go after the thief that stole that information? No, they're going to come knocking at your door. So that's, welcome to security class. It's a lot of fun. So we need to think about what is it that the bad people are after, right? What are they trying to get? So one thing they're trying to get is your account information, your login information, because that's like the door opening to your precious information. So they want to get your usernames and passwords to any number of services. You think, oh, well, I have some account over at this website and I don't use it that much, so it doesn't exist. Well, if that place gets compromised, you're going to be in trouble because you've given personal information out, and just because you don't think about it doesn't mean that it can't be stolen and used against you. It's fun, right? The next thing they're after is your personal information. Account numbers, driver's license, passport information, social security information. Anything that could be linked to your identity can be useful to someone who knows what they're doing in a negative way. So that's their next target, is your personally identifiable information and personal health information. My aunt works at a healthcare company nearby, and they have file servers, just like we do at this organization, that we share, right? We all have our file server where our departments put things, and we keep them for use within our departments. So someone within their organization got an email that said, hey, I want you to click this link, click it right now, go click it. And what did the person do? They clicked the link because it looked like an attachment that you'd get in any old email. You get attachments. And it was a piece of crypto malware, ransomware, which is really nasty. What that does is, for like a single user case, it would get on your computer, onto your hard disk, encrypt all of your stuff. It keeps the system intact, so your computer will boot up and you can still use it. But it'll encrypt all your documents and your photos and your music and everything personal to you. All that stuff gets locked up and just scrambled, and only a very specific, nearly impossible to break key can decrypt it. So you better pay up $1,000 in Bitcoin if you want it back. And luckily, that did not get onto that user's personal computer, but unluckily, it got onto their file server and encrypted their entire file server, which contained personal health information. And the IT director of that company, after 2 weeks of trying to figure it out, quit. He quit his job and just walked out because he'd been trying to tell people for 2 to 3 months, please don't click things blindly, please don't do that. And someone did, and he couldn't sort it out. And he just left. He just left the job, and they're still cleaning it up. Really nasty. Payment records and health information is very valuable because it can be sold. It's not just used against you. Your very personal health information can be sold and used in a marketing department. But that's for the privacy talk, the data privacy talk. That's in a few months. So that's the other thing they're after. And ultimately, they're really just after your money. That's usually the end goal, is they're trying to scam you for money, either to get you to drain out your bank account completely, to get your credit card numbers and use them to buy things that they then probably resell. I really don't know. I don't know how they do, what they do with it. And then, but money's ultimately what they're after usually. So how do they get to those very precious targets? Well, we have very busy lives online, right? We use all services, and this is just a handful. We use all kinds of different services. We're signing up for new services all the time. Each day there's a new thing where it says, use your Facebook to log in, use this email to log in. We have all kinds of different services that we use. Email being very, that's the king one. Email is really important. And then social networking, commerce, and file storage. And it's our daily life. coming and going. And we don't really give much thought to whether our data is safe with them because we're busy using it and we have lives to conduct, and you don't really want to think about it, right? So, and these are like big companies, right? I mean, they have billions and billions of dollars. They're building new data centers all the time. They've got the state-of-the-art security, right? Like, surely all of our precious information is safe with these precious, precious logos, isn't it? Well, in June 2012, 8 million accounts were cracked on LinkedIn because the passwords that were being stored just weren't stored quite safely enough. So they were encrypted once, but not encrypted twice. So when the hackers were able to get that partially encrypted information, they were able to crack 8 million passwords. All right, so that's just 1 out of 6. That's not too bad, right? Yeah, well, July 2012, 68 million accounts were compromised and passwords leaked out because someone who worked for Dropbox used the same password for their work login at Dropbox that they did on another website, and that other website got hacked. And what do you think the hacker did? They logged into the person's work account at Dropbox and leaked nearly 70 million account credentials. Just here you go. And all this data, by the way, that we've so far collected is all available on the dark web and the light web. You can pretty much find it. I don't know how, though. Don't ask me. And then February 2013, 250,000 Twitter accounts were hacked. I don't remember exactly how, but you can look up the date and they'll tell you if they're nice. Some companies don't tell you, like Gmail. 5 million accounts were compromised, and Alphabet Inc., which owns Google, won't say why. So have fun trusting Gmail with that. But Facebook and Amazon, I mean, those are like go-to, right? You know, that's what we're usually using most of our workday, or not. Just at the end of last year, 30 million Facebook account credentials were hacked. That's actually, they marked that down from 50 million. So they say now it was 30 million, but who knows? They could be 50, could be 30. I don't know. They're not going to go in front of Congress again for that one. Oh, and Amazon, precious, precious Amazon. Bezos, we can trust Bezos, right? All hail Bezos. Well, no. November 2018, an unknown number of accounts were just accidentally published. Someone just put them onto the website, and then there they were. Just come have it. So, yeah, just by accident. Because all these companies are run by people, and people are fallible. So you can really have all the technical controls you want in the world, all the firewalls and antivirus and super duper computers in the basement, but if one person makes a mistake, the whole house of cards comes crumbling down. So your organization is really only as strong as your least trained member of the organization. So thank you all for coming, because that's not you anymore. So let's get down to it. We're going to focus on 3 things today, and 3 things to help strengthen your personal online life. The first one's going to be how to browse the web safely. Second one, we're going to talk about password hygiene. And the third one, we're going to talk about how to safely store your files to ensure that your files are always available, they're always in integrity, and they're kept confidential. That's really, really important. So let's begin. So we're going to begin with a little demo to get you engaged. To show you how easy this is to take account credential information from, or any information from somebody, I'm going to teach you how to take somebody's account credentials. If you want to participate, you don't have to. But in order to do that, we can't be on this organization's Wi-Fi because we'd be breaking policy. So I've set up a temporary Wi-Fi just in this room. It does not go out to the internet, but it's going to be for our demo purposes. So in order to do the lesson, we just need to switch our phones to the network. So if you want to take out your phones, you can. Don't have to. That's all right. So everybody, if you're on Apple, go to your settings app. And if you're on Android, good luck. I guess it's also a settings app. I don't know. I don't use Android. But yeah, so just go to your settings app, and we're going to just switch our Wi-Fi network. I'm sure this is one, it's right at the top of your Apple settings. It says Wi-Fi. And if you go into, you'll see Starbucks Wi-Fi. So you can just tap that. Don't enter anything yet, but just go to Starbucks Wi-Fi and just give it a moment. And it should bring you to a login screen. Has anyone gotten there yet? It's thinking. Did it get to the login? Connecting? Okay, so just don't do anything yet. All right. Anybody still waiting for the login screen? Is everybody can see the logo there? Yeah? Okay, so the login name is Coffee. So just type coffee, lowercase, all lowercase, COFFEE. Yeah, it might take a minute. Yeah, it'll say email. That's how I had to set it up. That's okay, but the username's just coffee. I set it up custom. And then the password is beans, all lowercase, BEANS, beans. And before you hit login, just wait. You got it, Anita? All right. The password's beans, BEANS. And then if you hit login, we'll be ready to begin the demo. Did it? It said not authorized. All right, you can try it one more time. It's coffee and beans. All lowercase. Anybody able to get in yet? Thinking. All right. Anybody?
I'm saying unable to join network.
Oh, okay.
Oh wait, mine's doing something.
Yeah,
Cannot order. Mine's taking me to events.
it took me back to.
To events Wi-Fi.
Anybody able to get in?
Nope.
Yeah.
It says I'm connected. I have an Android.
Oh, okay.
I'm connected, but it didn't ask me for any password.
Okay. Yeah, it's not always reliable.
Mine took me back to
Well, that's okay. You don't need to mess with it anymore because the demo's over.
I got it.
Everything you just typed, I now own. Everything you just typed, I have all your phone models, I have your MAC addresses, and everything you typed into those fields I now possess. So give yourself a round of applause. The demo's over. Well done, everybody. Yep, that's how easy it is. And I'm no expert yet. I'm just an enthusiast. I just followed some instructions on YouTube. That is not hard to do. That is not hard to do, but that's the first lesson. Sometimes there might be a man in the middle. So before we get to web browsing, I just want you to know using public Wi-Fi is a very bad idea. Don't use public Wi-Fi. If there's not a lock next to the Wi-Fi, of course here we have it set up differently. When you join our open Wi-Fi, you're not on the network yet. So different organizations may have different policies, but if you're just out somewhere, somebody could just have a little device set up that could just rip your information right off. So, before we get into the safe web browsing, yes, quickly.
So it won't let me go into the Starbucks, but
No.
so I'm back on the Jefferson East Hall.
Yeah.
But it says unsecured network.
Yes, and that's what I'm describing, yeah, because some companies will have like a little staging zone that isn't the full network yet. It goes on that first, and then after your device has been registered or screened, then it will allow you into the network. So it depends on the company's policy. But if you're just out and about, don't trust any Wi-Fi that you may come across and just say, ooh, that's open, because it could just be a device. That thing was $100. So, all right, so let's get into that. Thank you all for participating. I will erase all that data. Don't worry, you can watch me later. All right, so let's talk about web browsing. The first really big point about web browsing, we all recognize one or more of these icons. We've got Safari web browser on the Mac, Firefox, which is made by Mozilla, a nonprofit. Our big brothers over at Google make Chrome, and then Microsoft makes Internet Explorer. I know that many of you are fans of Internet Explorer, but Microsoft's ending support for it early next year, and it's going to be no longer in use, and it's not currently a suggested or a modern browser. So you want to immediately upgrade that to Microsoft Edge, and if you're still running Windows 7, you're going to need to upgrade to Windows 10 at some point as a side note as well. So the first point is use a modern browser. Use one of these four. This is going to give you the best privacy, and functionality can kind of be split, but Firefox is great for privacy if you know how to set it up. That's another talk. Next thing, keep your browser up to date. If your browser says there's an update, it's important to run that update because new threats are always being made, new exploits are always being discovered, and new patches are always coming out to fix those exploits. So it's important to keep your browser, just like your computer, because we all update, right? Whenever it asks you. You just drop everything and update, right? I know. No, so that's good. So keep your browser up to date as well. My favorite thing about web browsing, use an ad blocking plugin. This one is called uBlock Origin. That's the icon for it. It's made by this guy. I can't remember his name right now. But this guy made this as a project, a personal project, so he doesn't stand a profit from it, which means he's probably not probably not selling your information. There are some ad blocks that do sell your information, but I don't believe that person does. And what it does is it'll go onto your browser, and then it's so satisfying. It counts how many ads it's blocking. And it makes your web browsing faster because it doesn't have to render ads. And it also reduces the number of things that you might accidentally click on that might take you somewhere you don't want to go.
Is this what you just put online?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's why.
I do see the numbers, Kelly.
Beautiful. It's look at those numbers on every page you go, and you'll say, that's right. Ads aren't washing. They're not braining my wash. I'm going to use an ad blocker. So here's an example.
How do you get it?
I will go over how to do all this stuff in more detail right after. I'm also going to provide a link online. You can write down your email address on the board when we're done, and I'm going to send a whole detailed list of how to do all this stuff. But my rates are very low. So this is an example. This is a website prevention. It's a smoothie page. We're all healthy. We all love smoothies. So you can see there's a sponsored video right off the bat. It's right in the middle. On the right here, we've got cosmetics ads. Then you have ads that try to blend in with the article. This is an ad right here for more smoothie things. And they may take you to more smoothies or not. We really don't know. And then socks, I guess special socks. And then more cosmetics. So this is without the ad block. And then when we have uBlock Origin turned on, same exact URL. You can see that big video is gone, and the right side of the screen is just blank. There's just nothing there. It just scrubbed all those ads away from your eyeballs. It's very effective for YouTube as well, but don't do that on my channel. And then it's just really, really good for scrubbing ads away from things. So use an ad block plugin. It'll make your browsing, it actually makes it safer. Password saving. So this is something that's not totally secure. I still am guilty of clicking save sometimes, but there's a password solution I'm going to get to in the next section that is a better practice. Saving in your browser is not the most secure way to do things because there are ways to recover that data on certain browsers. So generally if you see, hey, save password for convenience, you don't really want to do that. There's a cleaner, more secure way to do it than that. Some websites, especially in the modern browsers, will actually tell you, hey, this site's not safe. In the top left of your screen, when you see that little padlock icon, that means that your data that you're transmitting to that website when you're filling out forms is encrypted. And that's what you want to see. If you get a warning that this site's not secure, or it doesn't use encryption, or it doesn't use HTTPS. HTTP is our internet language. HTTPS stands for secure, and that's our secure language. And you'll see a little padlock when you're doing business on Amazon or Facebook. They make sure that everything you're typing in is encrypted when it gets sent. If it doesn't have that icon, it means everything you're typing is just like you might as well be walking with it on a sheet in public for anyone who wants to read it. If your browser's ever looked like that, call me. This is a fake search engine. It's basically adware that's hijacked your browser, and you want to get that looked at right away. And it can happen in modern browsers too. All it does, this will happen frequently to people, is it looks like a legit search engine, but really it's adware. So you want to get that cleaned up right away. So this is an example of a phishing email. We see the Amazon logo, and immediately our dopamine starts firing because we're excited about buying things, and we forget to look at where it's sent from. So you can see this is not sent from an Amazon.com address, so that's a red flag right there. There are also some links down here. Don't wait, click now. It has to happen now. It's a limited time. That's the principle of urgency in a social engineer attack. So if someone says, there's only so many left and you have to give me your social security number right now, because of that stress that comes out, you're more likely to click something like this. But you always want to analyze what your addresses are so that you're not looking at an email that's actually false. This is another example. This is within our organization. I blurred out the names to protect the innocent, but this was one that was a phishing attachment. So it said, and this person's name that was blurred out right here was it the name of a colleague of the person who showed this to me, and it looked legitimate. It said, this person has sent you an attachment. You go, oh, I know them. And they clicked it. And you remember the story about my aunt's business, right? All it takes is one click to not only bring down your computer, but to infect a whole network. So it's really scary. That's why phishing is still one of the most popular ways to attack places, because attacking the people and getting the people to click is the easiest way to do it. People are very malleable. Right? So let's review. Web browsing. Upgrade and update often. Use an AdBlock plugin. I can show you how to do that. That's my favorite thing. Don't store your passwords in the browser. Log out of your sessions. I didn't mention that one, and I have a demo after if anybody wants to watch. I have a good demo about this, but when you're done using your thing, click the log out button. Don't leave your browser. We all do it. I still do it. I don't. This is best practices, but you want to log out of your sessions, because if someone can actually get to your computer while it's off, take the data off of your computer. Forget if you have a password on your computer, that means nothing. They can take that browser data off of your computer and boot it up on their computer, and if you're still logged into your Gmail, they'll be right in there. And if your email's gone, that might as well be your social security number at this point. And don't use public Wi-Fi. We all know that now. So thank you for that. Okay. So, to review avoiding scams, look at where emails are sent from. Don't share info on sites that don't say this site's secure. Check the address bar. Just make sure where you are at the top of your browser. Just make sure it doesn't say Amazon.com, and then that person would make it look like Amazon. And don't share your private information with anyone that asks, right? Like the daughter did. She just gave out private information because someone pressured her to do it. But it's tough. It's tough out there, especially for young people who aren't yet, used to adulting yet. Okay, so well done. We've got our first shield in our tri-shield arrangement. Yay, guys. Okay, so let's go on to passwords. So passwords, right? You see a field like this. You type in your child's name and the year they were born, and then this little thing comes up, right? And then everybody's happy, right? Yeah, because I definitely can't figure out who your child is and the year they were born. So we're going to go through some passwords quickly. Yeah, not so safe, right? So I'm going to give you on a scale from weak passwords all the way to strong passwords. You ready? Here we go. Don't use that password. That's not a good password. They figured out that password in Spaceballs. You really don't want to use that password for anything. It's short. It's only numbers. It's not going to be effective to protect against attack. All right, yeah, now we're getting slick. I got letters and numbers. No, you don't want to use that password either. That's a really not secure password. So how can I make that more complicated? Ooh, I'm real clever. That one's, no one would ever figure that out. Yeah, any passwords that kind of have simple algorithms that you came up with, like dragging your finger across the keyboard also, don't do that. You don't want to do that either. Anything that's easy to guess. Okay, so this is not my mom's password, so don't even try it. But that it's still not really a good password. I can give you another demo when the talk's done if you really feel like nerding out after this, that I can show you some password stuff that will really freak you out. It's pretty cool. So don't use passwords like that. Okay, so now we're getting like a little bit better. It's still using dictionary words, but there's some symbols thrown in for good measure and some numbers, and it's a little bit longer. This isn't the worst, but it's not great because you're still using dictionary words. It would be difficult for a computer to guess that, though. So here I'm about to give you an example of the kind of password that is easy to remember and that is very secure. You ready? So this password is actually made up of 4 separate words. So, and you can, I'll teach you how to remember this forever. So this could be orange squirrels eating cake having a parade, or they're cakes that are orange, shaped like squirrels that are on parade, like a float. I really don't know. But you'll never forget it now. And don't use this password because now you all know it. But having a password that's longer than 16 characters, even it doesn't have any special symbols or anything like that, but just the length is what gives it a high degree of entropy. So just having 4 non-related dictionary words is actually a pretty secure way to have a password. And you can even do one that's like relatable to you, not necessarily using personal information, but like a song, like one lyric from a song you like or something out of sequence, but you can figure out something that makes it memorable. This is the most secure kind of password. It's long, it's as random as a computer can make it, and it contains uppercase, lowercase symbols. There's a very, very high degree of entropy. Yeah, no, I'm going to get to that. It's not really memorable, but we're going to get to a way that you can use passwords like this without having to remember them, and that's the most secure way to do it, and it's really, really neat. So quick, good password review. You want it longer than 16 when possible. Not all organizations allow longer than 16. So if it forces you to have it shorter than that, you really want to make sure that it's a good one. Do not use any personal information like Peter85 or my address or anything like that that someone could easily look up on Facebook and just find. Use numbers and symbols. It's a good way to do it. And perhaps the most important, don't reuse passwords that you've used in the past, and don't use passwords across platforms. Remember our Dropbox example? Someone used the same password on 2 sites, and then 70 million people's things got leaked. And look, at this organization where we work, there's a lot of precious data here that you don't even necessarily know what kind of data is stored in your daily comings and goings, but that doesn't mean it isn't there. And in your daily life, you don't even necessarily know what kind of data you have online or that's in your computer. And because of that, because we're not always constantly aware of what's going on, at least bringing attention to how we can protect what we do have, the big stash of data that we just all have, is really important. So don't use the same password on 2 different things. But don't worry, we have a good way to remember them all. So we've got all of our trusted services that are always looking out for our best interests. And we have a nice long randomized password for all of them, but that's really hard to remember, and it's not really going to be practical for daily use. So how do we still maintain high usability of all of our services and have really secure passwords and make sure everything is locked down? Well, we do that by use of a password management service. These are just 3 of them, LastPass, NPass, and KeePass. They're just different examples of password managers that you can get, and we're going to go into detail in the information that I give you. And there are guides for how to use all of these online as well. But I'll show you an example of what LastPass looks like. This is their page. It's like a website. There's an app for your phone, so you can do this when you're logging into stuff on your phones and on your computer browser, of course, and your modern web browser that's updated, right? And so it basically has what's called a vault, and all of your accounts. You can even take secure notes. You can write down things like if you need to keep track of account numbers or social security numbers or things like that. You can actually write them in a secure notes section and keep them safe. This organization, LastPass, only gets encrypted versions, 256-bit encrypted versions of what you type. So you download your vault to your local device. Your key that only lives on your local device opens it up for you. You edit it, you close it back up and encrypt it, and then it gets sent to LastPass. So if they were to have a data breach, they wouldn't have any information. It would be useless to a hacker that gets it. So it's actually a really great service. I think there's a free version and then $2 a month if you want to. That's if it has a feature actually that a colleague taught me about, where every few days you have to click a button. And then if you don't, your information will get sent out to an email list that you designate. So if something happens to you, like you end up in the trunk of a car or one of these scams or something like that, that's a different talk. But all your account information can get shared with someone that you trust. It's a really cool feature. So you have all your services. They're all locked with your super secure passwords. You've got your password manager with one password to rule them all. They make you set a really nice password, like Orange Squirrel Cake Parade. Don't use that, but something similar. You make a nice, and that's the last password you ever have to remember, is that one password if you use this service. Really cool. And then when you have your plugin on your device, you can get into your stuff. And then when you're done, you log out, and then your browsing session is safe. And then one more thing on passwords. All of everything I just said is useless if all you have is a password to get into a website, because remember our examples, if somebody just compromises their server and they have a password, now yes, it's less likely if you have a strong password for your password to be hacked, because all those services, they store encrypted versions of your passwords, which are difficult they can't be decrypted, first of all, and it's going to be difficult if you have a strong password for your password to be cracked. So always use a strong password anyway. But if your password accidentally gets published somehow, it's important that you have two-factor authentication turned on for anything that will allow it, especially your email and especially your bank. Email is the most important, because if you can get to someone's email, you can get to their bank, or at least know which bank they have. Imagine you're at home right now in front of your computer. You open up your browser, you type G and hit enter. It opens your Gmail, and then you search Gmail for bank statement. How many things are going to come up? And what's someone going to do if they have that? Or, hey, could you send me your tax return over the email thing? Sure. I do that all the time. There's tons of stuff sitting in my Gmail I shouldn't be there. So, but the idea is you have a second device. You have a phone that has either it gets a text message, or you can have an app. App is more secure. Text message can be intercepted. by our man in the middle. But having an app is a more secure way to do it, and then you need both things to get into where you're going. Really important, because if someone has your super secure password, doesn't matter, because they need your phone with your app on it to get in. And everybody has a lock on their phone, right? Everyone has to type in a code or use your face. Always turn that on, because if someone gets your phone, they've got your stuff too. So here's an example. This is Google Authenticator. There are a bunch of services listed right here, and they each have a unique code that expires. This is a timer that counts down 30 seconds. So you'll be on your computer, and you'll type in your password. Your computer says, thank you so much. Now what's your secret code or your temporary code? And you go in and you type your code. And if you're typing and your code expires and changes to a new one, you have to type that new one. And that's what prevents other people from getting in. Really, really important. Multi-factor authentication can really save you. So you want to have that for everything. So let's review our passwords section. Use strong passwords. Don't reuse passwords that are old or across different sites. Use a password manager to help you remember all your complex passwords. It's a great way to do it. And always enable two-factor. Very important. And don't share your passwords. If some really charming, handsome, knowledgeable computing support specialist asks you for your password, you're not supposed to share it with them. It's an old habit we have here. The most secure thing to do is actually to sit with them and type it in. And security takes time. Security is annoying. We have to do more to keep ourselves safe. But if you say write down your password for someone, are they going to destroy it? Can you trust them to destroy it? Where's that little sticky note going to end up? A lot of attackers will go and do what's called dumpster diving. They'll just hop right into a dumpster, open up your office trash can, and say, are there any sticky notes in here? And don't leave your password on a sticky note anywhere. On your computer, on your keyboard, on your monitor, on your dog. Don't leave this around, because you might as well just be leaving your car keys out. I have a car keys story at the end of this if you want to hang around. So, you guys are doing great. 2 out of 3. If you can just do 2 out of 3 from this talk, you're going to be in great shape. But we're going to do this last one as well. This is a short section. It's all about your files, and we're going to have a couple of quick examples here. So we're moving right along. So has anybody seen this before? Does everyone know what this is? Yes? No? Maybe so? So yeah, exactly. This is the hardware that makes all of this possible. So yeah, so that nobody's computer looks like that, right? Till I fixed it? Yeah. So the hard drive's where all of your stuff is, right? So all of your files, and there's programs, there's PDFs, there's different documents and everything we do on our computers. And please stick around for the demo after this if you'd like, because I have a really great file theft demo. I'm getting ahead of myself though, because what are the biggest threats to our data and our files on our computer? Theft and destruction. Those are the two biggest threats. Somebody steals your stuff and makes away with potentially just your hardware, but they could also have your data. And if they're a clever thief, they might want to use some of that valuable information. And of course, dropping a computer or just hard drives just go bad, right? Everybody's had a hard drive just sort of be like, I don't want to do it anymore. And then and also like liquid damage and all that. So those are the two biggest threats. So let's look at some examples. So most of us will at some point have a laptop with our stuff. I'm a thief, right? I come along, I steal this. Where are your files? They're on your computer, so they're all gone. And those files could contain very precious information to you. So I've got my computer here. My computer breaks. I dropped it. Oh no, I spilled wine on it. Or I didn't. I don't know why it doesn't work now. And then your files are going to be gone too. So what's a great way to protect against that? Well, somebody's going to know, right? Let's say, what's a good protection if your laptop gets broken or stolen and you want to still have your stuff? What do we use? Cloud storage. Indeed. Yeah, some kind of external storage, right? So we have our stuff here on some kind of device like a thumb drive, cloud, or an external hard drive, something like that. Or if you have in the Mac universe, you'd have some kind of airport device, time machine. But it has a duplicate, a copy of your files that you all plug in regularly, right? And we all do this, don't we? So I'm a thief. I come along and I steal this. I'm still going to have the backup of my stuff. So, but it's not great because the thief still has your stuff and they have your data. But at least you can get a copy of your stuff back. So another example, you've got your computer with your files. You've got your backup drive, your computer I don't know why, it just doesn't work anymore. And then you still have your backup, you get a new computer, and now you can make another duplicate over here. So that's another great reason to have it. You're protecting against theft and data loss. So moving on to another example. So we've got our computer, and then we've got our external device that's local, our thumb drive or our external hard drive. And what was that third thing that you mentioned?
Cloud.
The cloud, exactly right. So that's going to be a third way. And once you have 3 places where your data exists, you're going to be in great shape, because 2 is 1 and 1 is none when it comes to redundancy. If you have 2 things, that's basically like having 1 thing, but if you have 3, now you've got a nice steady backup. So that's going to be your best practice for making sure that your data is all backed up. And you know what a lot of those cloud services look like. Everybody recognizes at least one of these logos, right? Google, Apple, and this third one that we may be familiar with and using, maybe? Yeah, so and they all have generally the same functionality. Little variances, and for the privacy talk in a few months, they have different policies in regards to who owns your data. So if you're using free Dropbox, that data is not even stored in this country. So it's something to consider when you're weighing out which cloud service to use. As soon as you pay for Dropbox, it's all American, baby. So on your computer, you've got these all files. So you've got your password list that's just sitting on your desktop, and you've got your tax return that's just sitting on your desktop, and then you've got some photos that are sitting on your desktop, right? So does anyone know how to protect the confidentiality of your files? Any guesses? Yeah, lock them. Who said that? And how do we do that? We already covered it before.
Passwords.
Yes, you would. The way you do it is using a password, and we talked about it in the web section. It's file encryption. It's not just the stuff that you type into your web browsers that gets encrypted. You can encrypt at home, encryption at home. You can encrypt your devices, like your computer, and what that basically does is puts your data through a mathematical algorithm, and all anybody outside of you can see is just garbled data that is going to be really difficult for any computer to undo. And the way that gets set up is with a key, right? We have a vault, we lock it with a key. So encryption is our friend. So we've got our setup, say we've got our computer and we back up to the cloud really, really well. And I'm a thief. Again, our thief friend comes over and he takes your encrypted laptop. Well, that sucks that the thief got your laptop, but they're not going to be able to get to any of the data on the laptop. So yeah, all right, there's loss for the equipment, but whatever. Like, I have a copy of my stuff and it's all encrypted and they can't get to my identity. That's the thing we're really protecting. So a thief who then has your encrypted data is going to be unhappy because they're not going to be able to get to what your precious data is. So what does this look like? How do we do it? Well, if you use Windows, in Windows 10, there's a feature called BitLocker. It's built right into the system. You don't have to shell out a dime. You can just go into BitLocker. It says, click here, put in a password, create your key. It creates a file that it will then tell you to print out and put in your FireSafe. Very important to make sure that you do back up, safely secure that key file. But it's all built right into the system. Mac has something similar. It's called File Vault. That word vault again, and we have a key for it. But it's really, you just set up a password and it encrypts your entire computer. So if an attacker got your computer, they wouldn't be able to see anything that's on it. They still have your equipment, but they can't get to you. So, and big deal. You get new pieces of equipment all the time. We have to buy a new one every 6 months anyway. So we've got our computer with our stuff, and we've got a local backup, because cloud isn't always reliable. You always want to have something local that you can get to as well, because cloud may go down, internet may go down. Who knows what the future holds? I'm scared. You should be too. So have a thumb drive that is close by, and then have the cloud as well. So you've got 3 at all times available to you so that you can keep your stuff nice and safe. And what are we going to do to it? Encrypt it so that it will be locked down and nobody's going to be able to get to our precious, precious stuff, whatever it is, your novel that you're working on, some screenplay, or your precious information. All right, so let's review data. Back up your stuff, very important. Encrypt your stuff. Have a lock screen on your phone that requires you to enter a number, because if a thief gets your mobile device and it requires them to have a code, they're not going to be able to get to your stuff. and store your stuff in the cloud. And that's really it for data. It's a little section. I know it's a short one, but it's really important because and if you want to stick around for the demo, the data theft demo, I can show you just how easy it is to get stuff that's on your hard drive. It's really quite chilling. So stay for that. All right, so yay! We've got all 3 of our sections covered, you guys. So so that's it. Those are the introduction to security. Security being your friend. You now have 3 great practices that you can put into place, and I'll provide all details if you just write down your email. So now we're all 100% safe and secure, right? Nothing's ever going to get to us anymore, right? No? Oh, I've taught you well. Yeah, that's right. No, it's just good measures to help protect us against the threats that are always out there, the ones that are really malicious, that we can't always protect against. But we have services that we trust that really are really friends. They're our friends, and we like our friends. We like our friends. We like our friends. We like our friends. We like our friends, right? Everything is fine. Everything. Keep providing data. All is well. Do attend in 2 to 3 months. Please attend the privacy discussion. It's going to be a whole different talk. Everything I just told you, you're not going to want to use any of it anymore. So thank you so much for coming. I'm going to put some markers out over here, and if you just want the class notes, everything I sent you in detail, I have a file on Box, and I can share it to your email address. So I'm going to put some markers out here in a minute. So thank you all so much. We can open it up to questions, whatever you want. I have another demo after this if you'd like to hang around into the afternoon if you're really feeling interested. Yes?
What about the incognito option?
Yes.
Browser?
Yes, the most secure method for any web browsing session would be to set your browser to basically always be incognito. And in Firefox especially, you can change settings to make it so that it never remembers history. Every time you close the browser, all your cookies get deleted. That is the most private and secure way to browse the web. And using incognito mode is a great way to do it. And whenever we want privacy or security, we're sacrificing usability, right? Because I love to just open a browser and have all my tabs open. But when we start to get into the privacy theme of things, if you have Gmail open, for example, as I do in Chrome, like my habits really need changing, and I don't log out, I just close the window. Google is tracking everything that I do in my browsing session, whether I'm using Firefox or Chrome or Edge or Safari. Google's watching everything that I do. So is Facebook, by the way. So if you just open a browser and hit F and hit enter and then Facebook's logged in, they're watching everything you do. And you wonder why you're like, I was just thinking about lawnmowers yesterday, and then when I was scrolling, some lawnmowers were there. How do they do that? Like, it's very easy to do that. So.
Actually, at Christmas time, she tells me she can tell what I'm buying her for Christmas.
Mm-hmm. You might need to change your password. Any other questions? Yes?
What about like coffee shops, their Wi-Fi? Is that non-secure? Don't use it? Or
I wouldn't. If you do want to use public Wi-Fi, and through this organization, we provide a VPN, although it's not full tunnel VPN, so it's not necessarily the most secure thing. In fact, no, forget I said that. You want to employ the service of a VPN, which stands for Virtual Private Network. So if you do have to use public Wi-Fi, you can use any number of VPN services, depending on, there's debate about which ones are the best. But as soon as you join the network, you turn on the VPN right away. And then all of the data that you're transmitting is protected. But it's still not really much protection if you're joining a network that isn't real. There is a Vice video on YouTube that you can see where one of the correspondents goes to this hotel, and they make a fake access point that looks like the hotel. They put the word guest after the hotel. That's how they did it. Just put the word guest and people will join it if it's open, right? So you think, oh, free Wi-Fi, I don't have to pay, haha. And then they got her room number, and that was all they needed. They had her name and room number. And room number at a hotel that's your authentication, really. So they had one of the hackers' wives call the hotel and say, hey, can you print up an extra key for our colleague who needs to get access to the room? And they did. They handed it right to him. Some guy just walked up to the desk and just said, oh yeah, she called, print out a key, handed him a key. They planted cameras in her room, pointed at her laptop so they could see every password she entered. They knew the combination to her safe. So if you put anything in there, that's done. Toast. Yeah, you don't want to use public Wi-Fi. It's nasty. If they want it to be. But sometimes you really have to check your email. I don't know. Any other questions?
So on VPN,
Yes.
if you're at home on your supposedly secure network,
Mm-hmm.
would it be helpful to still use VPN?
Yes, for privacy purposes, if you don't want your ISP snooping on everything you do, and they'll just give up your info. If they get a court order, if Verizon says we need this user information, they'll just give it right up. So there are ways to browse the web more safely by using VPN to encrypt all of your data. Yes, Joyce.
So what would you do when you're at a hotel?
Well, you can use your discretion. You want to understand that you're taking a risk. Anytime you join any network, there's risk involved. So if you're at a hotel, you might want to ask someone, say, what is your Wi-Fi policy? Say, it's just open and all you need is a room key, then that may not be the most secure way to do it. But you may at least just want to be aware of what you're joining and how you can join it.
Well, you're checking your email and maybe you're
Mm-hmm.
doing a response or something. I mean,
Mm-hmm. And it could all be being viewed if it's not a legitimate network. So if you have cell signal, it's safer to use your carrier data, which I know you have to pay a little bit more, but it's far safer to, even if you can do mobile tethering and set up your phone to be a Wi-Fi hotspot just for the time that you need to do business, is safer than using a Wi-Fi that's available to you. Yes.
Do you have any thoughts about the relative wisdom of Chromebook, using a machine that's a proprietary?
I haven't used a Chromebook and I haven't researched it. I'd be more concerned with privacy in the situation of a Chromebook, because I'm sure that as soon as you boot it up, it says log into your Google account, and Google's terrible. I mean, they talk about brain scraping. They know how fast you type into the search engine to see that it's you. So some people say if you really want privacy, type everything you're going to type into a web field into like a text editor like Notepad, and then paste it into the field on the internet, because they can look at the rhythm at which you're typing to identify you if they don't necessarily have your name or usual IP address. And it's not like someone is sitting there at a computer watching you. Like, it's computers that do all of it. So they can get to your data very, very easily. So, but that's more of a privacy concern than it. But security applies sort of broadly to all of it. Anyone else?
The levels of encryption between local and cloud. If you encrypt at the source,
Yeah.
does it encrypt moving forward, or do you have to encrypt additionally per?
No, cloud services. Well, it depends on the cloud service, but they'll usually have an automatic level of encryption of your data. But again, you have to check their policy to see, do they have a key to your data? Like, how many keys are there to this data? Like, if you got a court order to decrypt data that I have on your thing, would you? So there's a lot of policy involved in that. But yes, you can encrypt your stuff on your local machine first. You'd have to use a program to do that, mind you. When you encrypt your whole hard drive, like I was describing, once you type in your password and you're using your computer, that stuff is your vault's open. So an individual file that you then send on, it's not like that file is encrypted. It's like you're just sort of have access to your vault for that time. If you take anything out of it or email out of it, it's not encrypted yet. So you get a program that encrypts your files, then you upload it to the cloud, which is a great extra layer of security. Hmm? Yeah. Anybody else? All right, well, thank you all so much for coming. Now you're all responsible, so if something happens, thank you guys. So if something happens, it'll be a little less scary. If somebody tries to ask you, I forgot to mention this one, if somebody asks you for any of your information just out of the blue, don't provide it. You don't have to provide it. You don't have to, you'll never get an email or a phone call that says, hey, we see something's going on and we need your info. No, that's never going to happen. Account changes only happen when you direct them to. So the only reason a company would contact you regarding a password is to say, we've had a data breach, please change your password. But no one will ever just ask you for any of your personal information. You know, when you get those phone calls from IRS, they're like, this is the IRS and you want to go to jail? Like, that's not real. Oh yeah? Go ahead. That's the same voicemail that the parent got. She got a robocall. Her daughter got a real person. And that was the difference. The parent got a robocall. It was probably that same one because it used the same language, and the daughter got a real human. And that was enough of a difference to convince her. So stay frosty out there.